It's the simplest form of your screenplay. If you can't fill it out, you don't have a story yet. That's the point. The point is not to get to that white page and try to write an idea. You want to write a story. An idea and a story are not the same thing. The Pixar Formula gives you an opportunity to figure out, do I know what this story is before I go and start writing? And if you can't answer all of those questions or fill in the blanks, then you know what you don't know, which is usually the problem. We get to the white page, we start writing, and we start making plot holes, and we get lost because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know how to ask questions about what we don't know. The Pixar Formula gives you an opportunity to do that ahead of time. Now you can go, oh, I didn't know that. I got to start asking myself some questions, right? An idea is just part of a story. Might be the thing you're most excited about. Might be the subject matter. Might be the theme. Might be a character. Might be the world. Might actually be the goal or the plot. But you need all of those things to make a story. Some people will literally write out bios in the voice of their characters. I am Shannan. I am this age. I like to do these things. What I really want out of life is this, right? Some people like to do it that way. I do mine in more of a question and answer kind of thing. Like, what do I know that I need to know about my characters? I've done this enough that I kind of know the stuff that I need to know. And so I put that in a workbook for you guys, just like I put the Pixar Formula in a workbook for you guys, so that you can ask yourself those same questions. The more you know about your characters, the easier it is to write for them, so that you aren't pushing them left, right, or center. They are actually going where they need to go because it's their story. I think it should be the second thing you do, because if you don't have a story yet, right, then you won't be making informed decisions about your character. It has to be the right character for the right story. Just because you have an idea and you have a character doesn't mean they belong in the same story. If you figure out what the story is first, then you'll know which kind of character you need in there. That doesn't mean that you can't have the idea of a character first. You can. But once you start figuring out what the story is in the Pixar Formula, and then you start to think to yourself, this is a really cool character, but this character does not belong in this story. This character is not the best fit for this story. You know, because going through the journey is going to get them what they need. Right? It's not just going to get them what they want. It's going to get them what they need. Your character needs this story. Okay? So if you start doing your bio work and you are forcing your character into this story, they're probably not the best person to tell this story. I've probably said this several times over the last week. Why that character? Why not the other one? Whose story is this? Well, why is it that person's story and not this other person's story? You know? So you should think about that. You don't want it to feel forced. You want to make sure that you have the right character in the right story. So that's what character bios do for you. Movie musicals do well when they do well. I think, generally speaking, this is not even true for myself because I used to be in musical theater, but a lot of people don't go to the movies to watch musicals. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, Glee, which was a television show and not a feature, did well. And because it did well, people tried a couple of other shows that did or didn't do that well. You know, there have been lots of musicals that have been adapted, you know, to screenplays and to feature films. There was the one with Emma Stone that won an Oscar however many years ago. So, I mean, if that's what you want to write, you should write it. It's different because you're going to use the songs to move it forward, just like a musical on the stage. The songs should be moving the story forward versus we just have people singing for the heck of singing. You know, Disney does this very, 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 very well, right? So they will use a song to introduce a person. Now you know everything you need to know about that person, what they like, what they don't like, their good parts, their bad parts, because they just sang an entire song introducing themselves. You know what I'm saying? Then there might be a song when it's time to go to war. And right. So that's the action that the song is playing for you. So I do that by, we'll skip this part because this is introducing the world. We meet her and she's running the kitchen very well. She's a leader, stern, but with a smile. She's mature for her age. These are just beats, right? Here, she gets her dad's opinion on a twist to his recipe, right? So that's showing that she cares about how her dad feels about what she does. So it's showing their closeness. Now, you see how it's written as beats? Let's look at it when I actually build it out into a scene in the outline. Okay. This is the opening image. This is just world stuff. We haven't even met our person yet. Here's our person. We meet her in the kitchen. Okay. She's telling people what to do. She's chopping up stuff. She's very serious. It's clear that she's the boss in here. She has talent. She's cooking the stuff that she's going to take out to her dad. She takes it out to her dad here. This is a different beat because I had to put this in here because she's also going to be meeting other people. And now she serves the gumbo to him. He tastes it, makes a face, and they have like a little back and forth. And then he says, something out loud to like everybody around him that she's the best chef, blah, 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 blah. And that, he pulls her in tightly for a hug, blah, 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 blah. So you get to see visually what was typed in just these couple of lines. So I like to keep track of those things so that I don't get distracted. I have a section specifically for moments. And I just come down here and I write as much of it that comes to my mind. It doesn't have to be in order. It can be anything. However much of it that comes to my mind, I write it down. As you can see, some of these moments are highlighted because they ended up where? In my outline. You should let them find you. They don't want you before that. That's the truth. Screenwriting agents, which are called literary agents, are looking for you when you're at the table. When it's time for them to make some money, that's when they're looking for you. If you're not making any money, if you're just, I have a couple of screenplays, I really like screenwriting. I'm not saying this is you, just giving some examples. They're not checking for you. When you're at the table and somebody's ready to sign on the dotted line, believe me, they'll find you. And if not, that's your leverage. Your leverage is, hey, here's some money for you. Here, come get your 10%. Then they'll be there. Oh, and I hate those. No, but I say that to say that I was working for a network once and they asked me for an outline and I sent it to them and one of their notes came back. We need an establishing shot for each one of these things. Now for me, establishing shots are inferred and it's what the director is going to do. I don't even really get to decide what that establishing shot is. So what do you want me to take up space in my outline or my screenplay for your establishing shot for? Now, I understand from their point of view that establishing shots take up page length, therefore could increase the time, the duration, like sure. But at the end of the day, the director is going to get in there when you get that script and they're going to make all those establishing shots. So absolutely not. Also, I don't believe you need one for every single place. I just don't. Unless you've got some cool way of doing it. I hate when you watch a movie or a TV show and it's just static of the outside. Now we're on the inside. Bro, I don't care what the outside of this place looks like. No. Because being able to write a short has nothing to do with writing a television pilot and absolutely nothing to do with writing a feature. You will hear something different from everybody else on the planet. My response to that is most of them are talking to people who are writer-directors. If you want to be a writer-director, then writing and directing a short is great, great, great practice for you because you know that you're going to try to do something bigger and you're the one who's directing it. So it's about the visual parts of it, right? If you are trying to be a writer, shorts only get you so far. And the structure of it is nothing like a feature or a television pilot. You don't have to know anything because it'll tell you what you don't know. All right? You can start at the Pixar Formula with just an idea. If all you have is an idea, go to the Pixar Formula because it will help you build it out into a story. If you feel like I know my story, then do the Pixar Formula and find out. And for those of you who aren't natural storytellers, so you don't walk around telling stories about what happened this weekend, right? One day means something changed. That's what that means. So if you're doing the Pixar Formula and you get to one day, and you don't know what changed, you don't have an inciting incident, because we're here to see what happened after the change. We're not here for the stuff that happens before the change. Before the change is just information. After the change is when your film or your episode or whatever actually takes off. That's what we're going to be tracking from that point on. You can practice on any idea. You can literally pull random ideas out of your butt and just go, oh, I wonder what would happen if, a boy showed up to school one day and his teacher was an alien, and they found out that the alien took the school hostage. Go write it. Go figure out structure. Go figure out how to get from A to B to C to D to E to F to G and so on and so forth. And then do something else. And then do something else. And then do something else. Because you're going to become a better writer each time. Especially if you are studying along the way. Getting development notes along the way. So you can understand, your progress. You're going to be so much better. And even after you do write your baby, you're going to come back to it a year later and go, oh my God, right? Because you're going to constantly be getting better. You're also going to be constantly changing. When you rewrite, I suggest acting like the first version of it doesn't exist. That's why I redid all of this pre-work. I didn't just go to the script and start moving stuff and changing words and blah. No, it's a different you, which means it's going to be a different them, your characters, a different them. And so I owe them starting from a blank page. And so that's what I'm doing. Does that mean that some of those moments won't still be there? Of course they will, but they won't feel the same. And then a lot of them won't be there. There will be new moments. I don't often write about things I don't know. And whatever it is I don't know, it's this one specific thing that I need an answer from. And if it takes me down a hole, I don't mind, because I need to be in that hole. Like if it's taking me down, that means I got to figure this thing out, right? But I can understand, depending upon what you're writing, if you're writing some kind of historical fiction, if you're writing a biography, if you're writing whatever, then, you might find yourself down holes. Yes and no. And the only reason I say no is because anything is possible. Anything can happen. Nobody's story is the same with getting into Hollywood. The reason I say yes is because your job as a writer is to brand yourself. That might not specifically be genre, but something about your writing sample should feel like they're coming from the same person. If not, then how do I sell that? Going back to having an agent or a manager, how do I sell that you do everything? What does that mean to anybody? So if I'm reading your stuff, even if it is cross-genre, there should be something that makes me go, yeah, Jay wrote this. This is a J script. So that's what you're looking for. So whether that's genre, voice, tone, format, theme, characters, world, in the word choice, in the sentence structure. If you're funny, anything I read from you should be funny. Treatments, log lines, outlines, beat sheets, whatever they are. If it's drama, I should feel that as I'm reading, no matter what it is. If something is scary, you might decide to give us some capital letters here and there. You know what I'm saying? So tone shows up in your voice and your word choice. Y'all, if y'all want to work in TV, you have to want to work with people. If you don't want to work with people, you don't want to work in television. Television, like all of filmmaking is collaborative. All of it. But screenwriters get the long end of the stick, though they look at it as the short end of the stick, because screenwriters for feature films get to write the script, turn it in, and go on about their business. They don't have to talk to nobody if they don't want to, outside of the people who they're selling to and who might give them a couple of notes. And then after that, they don't have to deal with people, right? A lot of people don't like that, though. They're like, well, I want to be on set. I want to talk to the people, right? But in television, it is group work. All of it is group work. If you don't like group work, don't go into television. Become a feature writer, and then you don't have to deal with people. If you think you're the only person with ideas for your story, you don't need to go into television. That's not what it's for. You don't even need to go into Hollywood. If you think you're just such a genius that nobody can give you a note that can help your work, this is just not the thing for you. You should raise your own money, get your own crew, direct it yourself if that's what you want to do, or hire a director and just do it yourself. One of the reasons a lot of people's personal statements suck is because they think that there's this professional way of writing a personal statement, when personal statements are supposed to teach me about you. That's supposed to be your voice. So yes. I also think a lot of people don't know what their voice is. Not to shame anyone, it's just for you to consider and think about. If you don't know yourself, it's going to be hard for you to have a voice. If you're trying to be everybody else instead of really figuring out who you are so that you can show up on the page, not in a big splashy way, it's still about your characters, right? But if you can't figure out how to put your voice on the page, it may be because you aren't sure of you and what your voice is. And a lot of that comes with confidence. Yes. Now, I am not an agent. I am not an entertainment lawyer. I do not know how the contracts go. But if you write the pilot, you will receive whatever it is you're supposed to receive. That's the general answer. I would suggest you talk to people who do that part for a living. But yes. Now, residuals, as you heard writers and actors talking about through the strike, are not that great. But, you might get, 3 cents, but you're going to get it. You'll get it because it belongs to you.
And that's it. Want more content? Like, subscribe, and for notifications. Get notes on your script that get you unstuck at www.theprofessionalpen.com. I'm out.